Imagine a world where communication happens without words, where signals are sent not through voices or gestures, but through the air, the soil, and even the light itself. Welcome to the mysterious and fascinating world of plants, where new research suggests that plants may actually have their own secret language. But can they truly communicate? And if so, how does it work? For centuries, humans believed plants were simple organisms, silently rooted to the ground, existing only to grow and reproduce. But what if they've been communicating with each other, and us, this entire time, only we've never understood their language? Well, that idea is being turned on its head. Recent scientific studies have uncovered remarkable evidence that plants do indeed have a form of communication, and it's far more complex than we ever imagined. It all begins in the soil. Beneath the surface, plants engage in what's called root signaling. Their roots are not just absorbing nutrients, they're sending out chemical messages to one another. In fact, some plants will warn their neighbors of approaching threats, like herbivores, by releasing specific chemicals into the soil. Imagine this. One plant, under attack by insects, will release a volatile chemical compound, warning nearby plants to ramp up their defenses. These chemical signals are like secret messages exchanged beneath our feet. But it doesn't stop there. Plants can also communicate through the air. A phenomenon known as volatile organic compounds, VOCs, allows plants to share information over long distances. When a plant is attacked, it can release these compounds into the air, and the surrounding plants will pick up on the scent. Once they sense the danger, they can begin producing defensive chemicals like toxins or enzymes to protect themselves. It's like a plant version of a neighborhood watch system, an alert system that works silently and efficiently. Now, let's talk about mycorrhizal networks, a truly astonishing discovery. These underground networks, often referred to as the Wood Wide Web, are formed by fungal connections between plant roots. Through this vast network, plants are able to exchange nutrients, water, and yes, even messages. It's as if plants have an entire internet beneath our feet. When one plant is in distress, like suffering from drought, it can send a signal through the mycorrhizal network, and its neighboring plants may redirect water or share resources. But here's where things get even more mind-blowing. Some plants don't just communicate with other plants, they also engage with animals. One fascinating example is the acacia tree. When it's attacked by herbivores, like giraffes or insects, it releases a chemical signal that alerts nearby trees to begin producing tannins, making their leaves taste bitter and toxic. But here's the kicker. These trees also attract predators, such as ants, to defend them. The ants respond to the signal, swarming to the acacia trees to fight off the herbivores. It's a wild collaboration, one that blurs the line between plant, animal, and environment. Now, if you think plants can't hear, think again. Recent studies have shown that plants can react to sound vibrations. Researchers found that when plants are exposed to certain sounds, they respond differently than when there's silence. For example, some plants appear to grow faster when they're exposed to music or vibrations. This doesn't mean they're listening in the traditional sense, but their cellular structure seems to react to specific frequencies, possibly as a way to optimize their growth. But let's dive deeper into the fascinating concept of plant intelligence. Are plants really sentient? While we may not be able to measure plant consciousness the same way we measure human awareness, recent discoveries are pushing us to rethink what it means to be alive or aware. Plants can remember, make decisions, and even experience some form of pain. Research shows that plants can learn from their environment, storing information about past events, like the presence of herbivores, and using that knowledge to adapt their behavior in the future. Consider the Mimosa pudica, a small plant known for its ability to rapidly fold up its leaves when touched. This behavior has long been associated with defense mechanisms against herbivores. However, experiments have shown that the plant can learn to ignore harmless disturbances after repeated exposure, essentially adapting to its environment in a way that suggests a form of memory. While it's not memory as we understand it, it's certainly a form of plant intelligence that challenges the boundaries of what we thought plants were capable of. And then there's the question of plant communication through electrical signals. Like animals, plants use electrical impulses to send messages throughout their tissues. These electrical signals can travel as fast as 3 inches per second, and they're crucial for functions like responding to environmental stress. But what's truly fascinating is that plants appear to use electrical signals to warn other plants of dangers. When a plant is wounded, it can send an electrical impulse to surrounding plants, alerting them to the threat and prompting them to initiate defense mechanisms. This adds a new layer to the idea of plants being passive organisms. They are, in fact, highly responsive to their environment and capable of intricate signaling processes. So, can plants truly communicate? The evidence suggests that they most certainly can, just not in the way we might expect. Plants don't have voices, but they have other methods of signaling that are just as complex and sophisticated. Whether through chemical signals, electrical impulses, or even vibrations, plants are constantly interacting with their surroundings, including other plants, animals, and even us. As we uncover more about these hidden worlds of plant communication, we begin to realize just how much we still have to learn. We often overlook the incredible intelligence of plants because they don't move or speak in ways we're familiar with. But their communication systems are every bit as complex and meaningful as those of animals and humans. The more we study plants, the more we'll discover about the invisible networks of life that connect all living things. As we continue this exploration, it's important to consider how this hidden language of plants could be far more interconnected than we ever imagined. Imagine a forest where each tree, each shrub, and even the tiniest blades of grass are in constant communication. This network isn't limited to simple chemical signals or vibrations. Plants may be sharing resources, helping one another survive, and even warning each other of threats, all in ways we are just beginning to comprehend. One of the most compelling aspects of plant communication is the role of plant behavior. While they may not move like animals, plants do show remarkable adaptive strategies. They can react to light, temperature, and even the physical movement of nearby objects. Some plants even move to face the sun, as we've all seen in sunflowers. This is known as heliotropism. However, the full extent of plant responses to external stimuli extends far beyond just reaching for the sunlight. For example, consider the phenomenon of thigmonasty in plants. This is the rapid response to touch or vibration. The sensitive plant Mimosa pudica, also called the shy plant, is famous for closing its leaves when touched. This is believed to be a defense mechanism designed to deter herbivores. But research suggests that these plants can differentiate between harmless and harmful touch. In other words, they may be able to learn and remember specific experiences, altering their response in the future. This is a level of sophistication that we typically reserve for animals, not plants. The mysteries of plant communication are even more astonishing when you consider their ability to respond to sound. We've already mentioned how plants seem to react to vibrations, but did you know that they can also be influenced by specific sounds? Studies have shown that plants exposed to certain frequencies, like music or even the sounds of wind, grow differently. Some researchers believe that this could be linked to the vibrations in plant cells, which could influence growth and responses to environmental changes. Another fascinating theory suggests that plants can see in their own way. Plants don't have eyes like humans, but they do have photoreceptors that allow them to detect light and respond to changes in their environment. In fact, plants can remember the amount of sunlight they received over time and adjust their growth accordingly. This ability to perceive and react to light in a way that optimizes their survival shows that plants may have a more complex sensory system than we ever thought. Then there's the ability of plants to share resources with each other. Through the mycorrhizal networks we mentioned earlier, plants can send nutrients and even water to those in need. This system allows plants to communicate and cooperate, especially in tough conditions. If one plant is struggling to get enough sunlight or water, it might send out a signal through this fungal network, and nearby plants can help by adjusting their resource distribution. This cooperation among plants is a prime example of how plant communication isn't just about survival, but about thriving together in harmony. Interestingly, some plants even demonstrate an ability to communicate with humans. While we typically don't think of plants as having consciousness or awareness in the same way we do, there's mounting evidence to suggest that plants can respond to human presence. Some studies have found that plants can sense when they are being observed and can even change their behavior based on that interaction. This brings up the intriguing question: do plants have a form of awareness? Could they sense our intentions? While we may never fully understand their level of consciousness, it's clear that plants have more depth than we once thought. And what about the plants that seem to talk to each other? When a tree in a forest is attacked by insects or herbivores, it sends a chemical signal to neighboring trees, warning them of the danger. This chemical message, released into the air, is picked up by other plants, which begin producing defensive chemicals to fend off the attackers. This isn't a random occurrence. It's a strategy that has been honed over millions of years to ensure the survival of the species. But can plants communicate beyond just survival strategies? Some scientists believe that plant behavior may have more emotional depth than we realize. The concept of plant empathy is a new frontier in plant science. The idea that plants can sense the suffering of other plants and react accordingly is still a hypothesis, but it's a fascinating one. Could plants be aware of the stress or injury of their companions? Could they actively choose to help or protect others in their community? These are questions that scientists are now beginning to investigate. Another compelling idea is the possibility that plants might communicate using electrical signals in ways we don't yet understand. We know that plants generate electrical impulses, similar to how our nervous system works. These impulses allow them to react quickly to stimuli, such as physical injury or environmental stress. But could these electrical signals be used for communication with other plants or even with the surrounding environment? The more we explore, the more we uncover about the secret life of plants, and it's becoming clear that they are far more sophisticated than we ever imagined. So, how might all this change the way we interact with the natural world? If plants truly have their own language, their own network of communication, what does this mean for our relationship with them? Should we be more mindful of the plants around us, recognizing that they may be communicating in ways we can't yet fully comprehend? Could the way we treat plants, whether through agriculture, deforestation, or conservation, have a deeper impact than we realize? What's clear is that the more we learn about plant communication, the more we realize just how interconnected all life is on this planet. Plants are not passive organisms, they are active participants in the web of life. They form relationships with animals, fungi, and each other, and they may even have their own version of memory, emotion, and intelligence. The language of plants may not be one we can hear, but it's undoubtedly a language full of depth and complexity. And as we close out this mind-blowing look into the mysterious world of plant communication, I want to remind you once again to subscribe to Surprise Insights. If you've found this topic as fascinating as I have, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for even more mind-bending topics that will change the way you see the world around you. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next as we continue exploring the mysteries of our natural world. So, what do you think? Are we only scratching the surface of what plants are capable of? As science continues to push the boundaries of our understanding, who knows what new discoveries we'll make next? Stay curious, stay amazed, and keep exploring with Surprise Insights.